Good day everyone. My name is Maria Natasha C. Andales from BSN 2A from University of Rizal System, Taytay Campus. And today I am honored to lead our discussion on the evolution of information technology. We live in an era where data feels invisible and instantaneous. Yet the journey of how a message is formed has taken thousands of years to perfect. From the first scratchings on clay to the complex binary code of modern computers, humanity has constantly sought ways to move ideas outside of the human mind. Our lecture today will explore how we transitioned from physical symbols to numerical bits, fundamentally changing how we perceive the universe. By the end of this session, we will understand that information is not just a digital convenience, but a primary force of nature that dictates the order of our world. The birth of recorded information. So the story of information technology begins over 5,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia with the revolutionary invention of the written word. Before this breakthrough, human knowledge was trapped within the biological limits of the brain and inevitably died with its owner. So this internal storage meant that ideas could only be shared through direct speech or oral, limiting the reach of human progress to the sound of a voice. The Sumerians changed the course of history by developing a system to fix these fleeting thoughts into a permanent physical medium. By pressing reeds into a wet clay, they created a bridge that allowed information to travel across centuries without the original speaker being present. So these early Sumerian scribes initially used simple pictographs to represent tangible objects like grain, livestock, or basically tools used in their daily lives. While these pictures were useful for accounting, they were severely limited because they could not easily convey abstract emotions or complex philosophical ideas. The true giant leap for mankind occurred when someone realized that a symbol could represent a sound rather than just a physical object. So this shift allowed a picture of an eye to represent the sound of the word "I", regardless of its visual meaning. By decoupling the symbol from the object, the Sumerians unlocked the ability to record any thought that could be spoken aloud. So this transition is known as the Rebus Principle, and it remains one of the most significant intellectual milestones in the entire history of our species. Once sounds were mapped into symbols, language became a more modular tool that could be disassembled and reconstructed on the surface of a clay tablet. For the first time, a king could send a decree to a distant land and be certain that his exact words would be understood by the receiver. This eliminated the telephone effect, where oral messages would become distorted as they were passed from one messenger to another. Information had finally achieved a level of fidelity and permanence that allowed civilization to build a collective, enduring memory. The physical nature of clay tablets were meant that these early messages were heavy, durable, and capable of surviving the rise and fall of entire empires. Archaeologists today can read the personal letters and legal contracts of people who lived 4 millennia ago because the medium preserved the data. We often think of technology as something electronic, but these clays were the high-speed servers of the ancient world, storing the vital data of society. They represented for the first time that human software, our thoughts and language, was successfully installed onto external hardware. So this leap ensured that the wisdom of one generation could be directly inherited by the next, accelerating the pace of human innovation. As writing systems evolve, they become more streamlined, more moving from hundreds of complex signs to the much more efficient alphabets we recognize today. This efficiency allowed for a higher density of information to be stored in smaller spaces, making the transmission of knowledge even more practical. Scribes became the first information architects, carefully organizing data into columns and rows to ensure it could be retrieved and understood quickly. The ability to categorize and list information led to the birth of mathematics, law, and complex literature, all within the span of a few centuries. We can trace the lineage of each modern database back to these organized rows of cuneiform script etched into Mesopotamian mud. The cultural impact of this technology cannot be overstated, as it allowed for the creation of standardized laws that applied to everyone within a kingdom. So without the written word, the Code of Hammurabi could never have been distributed and enforced across the vast territories of the Babylonian Empire. Writing transformed the social contract from a verbal agreement into a recorded fact that could be referenced and debated in a court of law. It also allowed for the creation of religious texts that could maintain their consistency over thousands of miles, unifying disparate tribes under a single belief system. Information was no longer a personal possession. It had become a societal infrastructure that organized the behavior of millions. Beyond law and religion, the written word allowed for the birth of scientific observation by enabling researchers to record and compare data over long periods. Astronomers could track the movements of the stars over decades, noting patterns that would be impossible for a single human memory to retain accurately. This longitudinal data collection provided the foundation of our understanding of time, seasons, and the mathematical cycles of the natural world. By externalizing our observations, we created a feedback loop where each new generation could verify the findings of the previous one. This collective verification process is the very essence of the scientific method, which relies entirely on the accurate storage of information. In summary, the invention of writing was the first great migration of information from the mind to the physical world, setting the stage for all future tech. It taught us that ideas could be abstracted into symbols, a concept that would eventually lead us to the binary code of the modern era. While clay was eventually replaced by papyrus, parchment, and the paper, the underlying principle of encoding speech into symbols remained the dominant technology for 4,000 years. We must appreciate this era as the foundation of our modern world, for without the ability of store information, we would still be living in a state of perpetual reset. The Sumerian scribes were the original programmers, and their clay tablets were the first steps on the road to the digital age. Next is the loom and the power of abstraction. As the centuries progressed, humanity sought ways to automate the processing of information, leading to a remarkable discovery in the weaving industry of the 19th century. Joseph-Marie Jacquard, a French weaver, faced the immense challenge of creating complex, multicolored silk patterns that were incredibly slow and expensive to produce by hand. He realized that the intricate movements of a loom could be broken down into a series of binary commands, either lift a thread or leave it down. By creating a machine that could read these commands from a physical source, Jacquard introduced the concept of automated data processing. This was not just a tool for making cloth, it was a machine that translated abstract information into a physical product. The secret to Jacquard's innovation lay in the use of punch cards, which acted as the storage medium for the design's code. Each card represented a single row of the fabric, and the presence of absence of a hole determined the movement of the loom's mechanical hooks. If a hole was present, the hook would pass through and lift the thread. If the card was solid, the thread would remain in place. The simple yes or no logic allowed the loom to reproduce incredibly detailed portraits and patterns with perfect consistency every single time. Jacquard had successfully separated the program from the processor, which is the loom, a concept that is fundamental to modern computing. The separation of hardware and software was revolutionary concept that extended far beyond the walls of the textile factories in Lyon, France. Before the Jacquard loom, a machine was typically built to do only one specific task, and changing that task required a complete mechanical overhaul. With Jacquard's system, the same loom could weave a simple floral pattern in the morning and a complex royal portrait in the afternoon just by swapping the cards. This flexibility proved that information could be used to control the behavior of a machine, making the machine a universal tool. We see this today in our computers, where the same hardware runs different software to perform thousands of distinct functions. The punch cards themselves represent a higher level of abstraction, where a visual image was converted into a mathematical sequence of holes and blanks. To weave a single detailed portrait, a weaver might need a chain of over 20,000 cards, all linked together in a specific order. So this sequence was essentially a data stream, carrying the instructions for the machine to execute step by step until the final image was complete. It showed that any complex visual information could be digitized, reduced to a series of discrete, countable units that a machine could understand. This was the first time in history that a picture was successfully stored as a set of binary instructions. Jacquard's loom caught the attention of the brilliant mathematician Charles Babbage, who realized that cards could be used for more than just weaving silk. Babbage envisioned a machine called the analytical engine that would use punch cards to perform complex mathematical calculations automatically. While Babbage was never able to finish his machine, his idea laid the groundwork for the first electronic computers built a century later. He understood that the logic of the loom, using a physical code to direct a mechanical process, could be applied to the realm of numbers and logic. The transition from weaving silk to weaving data was a natural evolution of Jacquard's original binary breakthrough. The power of abstraction allows us to ignore the physical details of a machine and focus entirely on the information that drives it. When we look at Jacquard loom, we are not just seeing wood and metal. We are seeing a physical manifestation of a mathematical algorithm. The loom doesn't know it is weaving a portrait of the inventor. It is simply responding to the ones and zeros represented by the holes in the cards. This realization shifted our perspective of technology from purely mechanical systems to information processing systems. It taught us that if we can encode a process into a set of symbols, we can build a machine to execute the process. As the 19th century progressed, the primary limitation of information was its physical weight, as messages still had to be carried by hand over long distances. whether it was a letter on a paper or stone tablet. The speed of information was strictly tied to the speed of the fastest horse or ship. This created a massive lag in global communication, where news of a war or a treaty could take weeks or months to reach the other side of the ocean. The discovery of electricity offered a way to decouple information from matter entirely, allowing it to travel at nearly the speed of light. This transition would forever change the pace of human society, turning the world into a global village where news could be shared instantly. Samuel Morse and Alfred Vail were the pioneers who successfully harnessed this new medium by creating the electric telegraph system in the 1840s. They realized that electricity could be used as a carrier for symbols, where a simple pulse of current could represent a piece of data. However, the challenge was creating a language that could be sent through a single wire, using only on and off signals. Their solution was the Morse code, a system of dots and dashes that translated the entire alphabet into a series of short and long electrical pulses. This code was the first truly digital communication protocol, using a binary-like structure to represent complex human language. The genius of Morse code lay in its efficiency, as Vail analyzed the frequency of letters in the English language to optimize the transmission process. He discovered that the letter E was the most common, so he assigned it to the shortest possible code, a single dot, to save time during transmission. Less frequent letters like Q or Z were given longer, more complex sequences of dots and dashes to ensure they wouldn't slow down the overall flow of data. This was an early form of data compression, where the structure of the information was designed to fit the limitations of the transmission medium, where it showed that by understanding the nature of our data, we could make our communication systems far more powerful. The telegraph required a massive physical infrastructure with thousands of miles of copper wire being strung across continents and even under the Atlantic Ocean. While the wires were heavy and expensive to install, the messages traveling through them were effectively weightless and moved at unimaginable speeds. For the first time in history, a person in London could communicate with someone in New York in a matter of minutes rather than weeks. So this collapsed the barrier of geography and time, allowing for the real-time coordination of global trade, politics, and military operations. Information had finally broken free from the constraints of the physical world, becoming a fluid and instantaneous force. This era also introduced the concept of the network, where individual telegraph stations were linked together to create a web of information exchange. Just like the modern internet, messages would be routed from one station to another until they reached their final destination, often passing through dozens of operators. This required a high level of standardization, as every operator across the globe had to understand the same Morse code and follow the same protocols. The telegram network was the first version of the information superhighway, setting the precedent for how we would eventually connect the interworld through their fiber optics. It proved that a well-organized systems of symbols could bridge the gap between any 2 points on the planet. Electricity also allowed for the preservation of information in new ways, as the electrical signals could be recorded onto paper strips as physical dots and dashes. This meant that a message could be received and stored even if the operator was not present at the moment the signal arrived. This was an early form of automated data storage, ensuring that the weightless message could be turned back into a physical record for later retrieval. It reinforced the idea that information is a transformation of energy that can be converted between different states without losing its essential meaning. The telegraph taught us that as long as we have a medium that can switch between two states, we can carry any message imaginable. By the early 20th century, the world was drowning in data from industry, science, and government, creating a desperate need for a way to process it all. In 1936, a young British mathematician named Alan Turing published a paper that would provide theoretical blueprint for the modern computer. Turing wasn't trying to build a machine, and he was trying to solve a deep mathematical problem about whether some things could never be calculated. In the process, he imagined a universal machine that could only solve any problem as long as it was given the right set of instructions. This shift from physical machines to logical machines is arguably the most important intellectual event of the last century. Turing's core insight was that the human act of computing, which at the time was a job done by people with pencils, could be entirely automated. He realized that a person calculating a long division problem is just following a series of simple, mechanical steps without needing inspiration. If a person could do it by following a recipe, then a machine could be built to follow that same recipe with perfect accuracy. Turing proposed a machine that read a long paper tape covered in ones and zeros, which acted as both the data and the instructions. This was the birth of the algorithmic way of thinking, where everything is reduced to a step-by-step process. The Universal Turing machine was revolutionary because it was a single machine that could become any other machine through the power of software. Before Turing, if you wanted a machine to calculate artillery trajectories, you build a machine that could only do that specific task and nothing else. Turing proved that if you build a machine that could read and follow a set of general instructions, you could make it act like a calculator, a typewriter, or a music player. This concept is why your laptop can browse the web, edit video, and play games all on the same hardware. We no longer need 1,000 different tools. We only need one universal tool that we program with different information. Turing also stripped away the mystery of the human brain by suggesting that our intelligence might just be a very complex version of this same mechanical process. He argued that if a machine could follow rules to solve a problem just as well as a human, then the machine was effectively thinking in a functional sense. This idea led to the famous Turing test, which asks if a machine can communicate so well that it is so indistinguishable from a human being. By viewing the mind as an information processing system, Turing opened the door to the entire field of artificial intelligence. He taught us that thinking isn't a magical biological trait, but a process of manipulating symbols according to logical rules. During the World War II, Turing put these theories into practice by building the bomb machines to crack the Germans' Enigma rule, which saves millions of lives. This was a high-stakes demonstration of the power of information technology to change the physical outcome of a war. The Enigma machine was a complex mechanical cipher, but Turing realized it could be defeated by a faster, more logical machine that could check millions of possibilities. This proved that in modern world, the side with the best information processing technology would inevitably have the upper hand. Information was no longer just just about sending messages. It was a strategic weapon. The tape that Turing imagined for his machine is what we call now the computer memory, where we store the data and programs that run our lives. The length of this tape determines how complex the machine's task can be, leading to the massive hard drives and cloud storage we use today. Turing's logic dictated that if the tape is long enough and the machine is fast enough, it can stimulate the entire universe. This led to the creation of computer simulations, where we can model weather patterns, galaxy formations, or even the spread of a virus using only a code. We are living in a world where the tape has become nearly infinite, allowing us to recreate reality within the digital realm. While Alan Turing gave us the engine for the processing information, it was an American engineer named Claude Shannon who gave us the fuel for that engine. In 1948, Shannon published a paper titled A Mathematical Theory of Communication, which is often called the Magna Carta of the Information Age. Before Shannon, the word information was a vague, fuzzy concept that meant different things to different people depending on the context of the conversation. Shannon did something incredible. He found a way to measure information with the same mathematical precision that we use to measure the heat or weight. He turned a philosophical idea into a rigorous science that we now call information theory. Shannon's first major insight was that the meaning of a message is completely irrelevant to the technology used to transmit it. To a telephone wire or radio wave, it doesn't matter if you are sending a beautiful poem or a random list of grocery items. So the only thing that matters to the system is how many choices it has to make to accurately reconstruct the message at the other end. Shannon realized that information is actually a measure of uncertainty or surprise. The more unexpected a message is, the more information it contains. If I tell you the sun will rise tomorrow, I've given you the almost no information because that event is already 100% certain, right? So to give this concept a concrete measurement, Shannon introduced the binary digit, which he shortened to the term we all know today, the bit. A bit is a fundamental atom of information representing a single choice between two equally likely possibilities, like heads or tails, or 1 or 0. Every piece of digital data in the world, from a high-definition movie to a simple text message, can be broken down into a long string of these bits. By defining the bit as the universal unit of measurement, Shannon allowed us to quantify the capacity of our communication channels. We can now say exactly how many bits per second a fiber optic cable can carry, just as we can measure how many gallons of water a pipe can hold. This digitization of information was a monumental shift, as it allowed us to treat all types of data, sound, images, and text, as the exact same thing. Before Shannon, if you wanted to send a picture, you needed a television system. If you wanted to send a voice, you needed a telephone system. So Shannon proved that once you turn a voice or a picture into bits, they are both just sequences of ones and zeros that can be sent through the same digital network. This is why you can use your phone to listen music, watch videos, and read books simultaneously. It's all just the bits to the processor. Shannon's theory provided the universal language that allowed all our different technologies to finally talk to each other. Shannon also solved the ancient problem of noise, the static of interference that often garbles messages as they travel over long distances. He proved mathematically that even in a very noisy channel, it is possible to send information with perfect accuracy if you use the right encoding. By adding a few extra redundant bits to the message, the receiver can automatically detect and fix any errors that occurred during the transmission. This is why a scratched CD can still play music perfectly, or why a satellite can send clear photos from millions of miles away. Shannon's error correction techniques are what make our modern digital world reliable, ensuring that our data arrives exactly as it was sent. Another profound aspect of Shannon's work is that the discovery that information is deeply connected to the laws of physics, specifically the concept of entropy. In physics kasi, entropy is a measure of disorder in a system. Shannon showed that information is, in a sense, the opposite of entropy. It is a measure of order. This connection between the digital world and the physical world was first hinted at by a thought experiment called Maxwell's demon. Scientists eventually realized that deleting a bit of information actually requires a tiny amount of physical energy and generates a small amount of heat. This means that our digital data is not ethereal. It is a physical part of the universe that obeys the same laws as fire and gravity. As we draw our lecture to a close, we can see that the journey of information is the story of humanity's quest for order and connection. We have traveled from the heavy clay tablets to ancient summer to the weightless electrical pulses of the telegraph and the digital bits of the modern computer. Each era was defined by a new way to abstract our thoughts into symbols, making our messages more durable, faster, and more versatile. We have moved from a world where information was a rare and fragile thing to a world where it is as abundant and essential as the air we breathe. This evolution has not just changed our tools, it has fundamentally changed how we see ourselves and our place in the cosmos. I hope that this lecture has given you a deeper appreciation for the bits that run our world. So again, my name is Maria Natasha C. Andales, and it has been a pleasure to sharing this journey with you today. Thank you for listening.